Welcome to the Sharpway Show. A little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and I've done this now, 2-3 weeks in a row now, a Friday AMA. Some of you have been asking for it, so now you're getting it. Maybe you're getting too much of it now. So maybe you're getting too much of me. It's okay. I'm happy that you are giving me a chunk of your evening. Yes, another AMA, and I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because I've seen a couple of videos and things that kind of crossed my news feed, and it was about people being afraid. People being afraid all the time. People being afraid of government. People being afraid of wars and being invaded. Cops being afraid. Us being afraid of cops. Us being afraid of government. Each other. Crime. All the things. And so much fear. And why I worry so much about fear, why I do, is because people who are afraid usually make bad decisions. Right? All the things that I'm upset about, most of them at least, and probably you too if you watch this show, the things you're worried about, the war on drugs, the war on terror, the war on this, the war on that. Almost all of these things are passed or moved forward because of afraid Americans. Afraid Americans give us the Patriot Act. Afraid Americans give us the war on drugs. Afraid Americans, give us the lockdowns. Afraid Americans give us all the things that we hate. Fear should be. Now, fear isn't by itself. Fear isn't by itself a bad thing, right? But fear should not be why we take action. Fear should be why we think. If that makes any sense, right? Fear should be because we should use fear as okay, now I need to think what's going on. What should I do? How do I act? Sadly, we often use fear as a knee-jerk reaction, and usually we regret it. That's one of my issues that drives me crazy. And I do worry about that. I do. So I'm going to grab a couple things already. Wow. Some people are already packing up some stuff. I love it. Michael says, hello from Ohio. How are you? Have a good weekend. Yes, absolutely. Mary says, because there are J6 protesters still incarcerated and having their rights violated. There's a part that's very true, right? If you look at it, why did we go so nuts over Jan 6? I think because of fear. Not that it wasn't a bad thing. I mean, Jan 6 was a bad thing. It was terrible that it happened. I hate that it happened. But was it the Civil War? No. But we act like it's the Civil War, right? It wasn't the Civil War. It wasn't, right? It was a bad thing. We should have done it. It was, I feel bad for the people who went and stole things inside. It was terrible, right? But all those people were thrown into jail or attacked as bad as they were because of your point, Mary, because we were afraid. Got to get rid of them. Got to put them in jail. And one of my favorite judges ever, in fact, I must say my favorite judge, is Judge Jim Gray, who I love very much. Jim Gray said something which made a lot of sense to me. He said, jail is supposed to be for people we're afraid of, not who we don't like. Right? They're dangerous, not that we don't like them. And sadly, because we don't like them, we pretend that they're scary and going to come get us, right? And look, I'm sure there were some Jan 6 people who were bad people. I'm sure there were. No doubt. I'm sure there were some bad people there who did bad things. But are they going to come after us? Do we need to be afraid of them? Are they going to come rob my house or something? No, right? I mean, they're not. So I think that there's no doubt that they have gone far too crazy on that. And again, because of fear. That's true. Yes. So thank you for that. I do appreciate it. So Alfred asks, hey, Larry, how are you doing? Nice question. I appreciate that. I'm doing okay. Thank you for asking. Sadly, for me, my daughter is about to head back off to college, and I'm going to miss her. So I don't want her to go to college. That's not true. I do want her to go be happy, but I'm still going to miss her. So I'm doing fine, thank you, but I don't want my daughter to leave me. She should, and I'm glad she is. Don't get me wrong. She's supposed to. That's the rules, and good for her. But, what are you going to do? So, all righty. Let's see here. The Libertarian Lady, here in Jax, a loud group of suburban housewives who call themselves Moms Demand Action want to take the guns. Here in Jax, meaning Jacksonville, I assume you mean, right? We want to arm minorities, not make them more of a target. I don't see a question in that one, but Okay. I actually don't have a problem with people being anti-gun as long as they don't want to enforce their will via government. Now, the problem is when they are, they always do, right? That's the problem. But if you're someone who says guns are bad, I don't want to have them, I don't want to be around them, I don't mind that. That's fine. However, that's not how it works, right? I remember a friend of mine, I bring this story up often. I used to be a teacher years ago, and I ran a school many years ago. And one of the teachers there, she was a heavy pacifist, total pacifist. She was like, no, under no circumstances should we use violence. Guns are bad. Violence is bad. Never, never, hardcore. So, of course, one of the teachers goes to her and says, okay, well, what if you were being, sexually assaulted? I don't use the word because I'll get banned, but you know what I'm saying? Assaulted in that way. And she, of course, said, well, you know what? I've been in this situation before, and I want to talk my way out of it. Even if that were to happen, I would accept the bad outcome over using violence. And I said, okay. So then I asked her the question. I said, okay, let me ask you a question though. Would you stop somebody else who would say, no, I'm not okay with that outcome, and I'm going to shoot and or stab and or hurt or kill the person trying to make that outcome? Would you be against it? She said no. And I was like, then we're good. Why do I say that? If more people were like her, saying, I believe it, these are my values, I will live my values, and my values are no violence no matter what, I don't care the outcome, fine. Live your values as long as we allow others to live their values. Sad libertarian lady, those people are few and far between. Most people say, my values must be your values, or I'll use the force of government to make that the case. Why aren't more people like my friend, the teacher there, who says, no, my values are my values, yours are yours, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. Okay. And in her view, she believed that she could be the example. She was more like a Gandhi type person she believed her example would allow others to copy her. And to be forward, if everyone decided to be like her on their own, through their own choices, I'm okay with that, right? If you believe, violence is bad no matter what. I'm not being forced by government and I have guns, but I choose to not have them. I don't want to. Fine, no worries. You should always be able to do you. So I know I went long on that, but I just want to make sure that was clear. So yes, where was I? Dan says, we need to hear more from Jim Gray and the Libertarian Movement. He was the speaker that convinced me to rethink the drug war. Yes. And take the libertarian option seriously. What you doing now anyway? He's basically retired. He's in his late 70s now. If you don't know that, I love Jim Gray. I love him. I always say that. I adore him. He was, for those who don't know, he was a sitting judge in the 90s and had a press conference on how bad the war on drugs was. Now, lots of people trash the war on drugs after they retire. Not him. He was a sitting judge saying, this is terrible. It's not working. It's hurting people. So yes, absolutely. John says, Larry, apparently the new narrative surrounding Vivek is that he's a Democrat plant. Does that sound familiar to you? Thank you for that, John. Oh my God. Well done, brother. Well done. For those of you who don't know, once I started getting popularity in the 2018 election, back in 2018, all of a sudden the Republicans said, Larry Sharp's a Cuomo plant. That was the story that came out. This is what look, Democrats would do it too. Don't get me wrong, but this is a Republican way of doing it. Republicans will always say, you're a plant, you're a rhino, you're a Fed, you're whatever, the second that you start pushing against their narrative, right? That's what you're always that thing, right? They did to Trump. Now, remember in 2016 when Trump was winning, they're like, oh, he used to be a Democrat. He's a Democrat. Did it Trump too. This is a thing they do. The sad part, kind of to Mary's point, is that sometimes they're right? There's a lot of Fed plants in a lot of places. I mean, that part is true. There's a lot of Feds in a lot of places. Ton on J6. We know this already. They were everywhere. I mean, that's not just that. I want to just focus on that. Mary did. So I'm bringing it because Mary brought it up. But it's not just that. It's all over, right? So there are Feds and infiltrators everywhere. So that's why this story, for so many people, they're like, oh, is he? Because there's so much of it. People are like, wait a minute. Could it be true? in this case, I don't believe it's true. I think this is just the Republican establishment, very, very angry. For those of you, look, if any of you are Republicans, you probably know this. The Republican base still loves Trump. The Republican establishment still hates Trump. That's still true. The Republican establishment is hoping that somehow Trump can get knocked out. He'll quit. He'll go to jail. Something will happen. They want that because they still can't. The establishment still can't stand him. So the Republican establishment can't stand him. Democratic establishment loves Trump. They can't wait for him to run. They want to beat him up, but they want him to run because they believe that they can motivate their base against Trump. So again, different establishments. Republican establishment hates Trump. They're hoping somehow he'll fail or fall, and they want DeSantis or someone like him, Pence or one of the more establishment guys to show up. Vivek's not establishment, so we can't have him follow in case Trump falls. So the establishment's already putting that in the works to get rid of Vivek. Vivek, I keep saying Vivek from before. It's Vivek. Vivek before it happens. Yes, I know this story very well. I lived it 100%. Yes. All right. Mary goes on to say, an armed society is a polite society. 100% agree with you. Even crazy people are afraid of guns. A lot of people are. Absolutely. Yes. So, all righty. James says, I find it funny that conservatives stay blind about the negative effects of the war on drugs. They seem to not understand that it causes a double standard between rich and poor. 100% true. That there's not, and that's not a dig on rich people. Agreed. If I was super wealthy and I could afford a way of getting out of jail, I would use it. I think everybody here would, right? If you get in trouble and you have tons of money and you can get yourself out of trouble, you would do it. You would do it for people you love. Of course you would. Yes. It just means that if the cops are wrong in rich neighborhoods, they can't hide behind qualified immunity because they can't afford regular lawyers and no people in government. Yes. Right. Look, this is the problem that we have had. People who are against the war on drugs. We have not been good at this. The problem is for many people, they're afraid of drugs. And rightfully so. They watch their family and friends die from them. Many of you know my mom was an addict, right? This is a problem. Drugs are clearly a problem. So when we just say end the war on drugs, people hear, okay, but now what? Right? Like now what? They don't understand that that's the war on drugs is causing the deaths and this. We almost never say it, right? If you ever ask, and there was an opportunity once, I've said this before and a few times that I brought it up, but it's hard to say, but I will say it anyway. Someone will say, well, Larry, how can you like the war on drugs? I'm sorry, how can you be against the war on drugs? You know, my cousin, my son, my nephew died of a drug overdose, right? And what I say to that person, and I'll say it to you if you're listening, if you have a loved one who's passed away from drugs, the drug didn't kill your loved one. The war on drugs did. Let me repeat that. Drugs did not kill your loved one. The war on drugs did. That is absolutely true. How can I say that? Because if there was no war on drugs, there would be no fentanyl problem. There would be none. There would be no heroin problem. There would be no crack epidemic. There would be no meth epidemic. Larry, you're crazy. No. Why did those things happen? Because the other drugs are too expensive. How do I know that? I live in New York City. Many of my clients are wealthy people who also do drugs. Wealthy people also do drugs. It is very rare for wealthy people to die of overdoses. It happens, right? I'm sorry, for those types of drugs. They die of overdoses from prescription drugs. That's what they die for. But I'm saying just regular drugs. They get better drugs. They snort Adderall, or they snort cocaine, or they snort better drugs. If those drugs weren't so expensive and trashed by the U.S. government, there'd be no need to make the more dangerous drugs. You wouldn't need them. Not just that, you'd be able to get help. You could talk to your family and friends. I know, again, I've had an addict in my family. And if any of you have had an addict, you know this. When you have an addict in your family, most people abandon them. Of course, because they also have drugs in them. Because they're addicts. That's kind of how it works. So you can't be around them because you get arrested, you go to jail. It ruins your life and your career too. So you have to abandon them. So literally when they need you most, the government ensures you have to abandon them. You will find people often, again, if you have an addict life, you know this, they just go away for a while. You don't know where they are. They're just gone. They go away for a week or they go away for a couple of days, whatever. They're just gone. And then all of a sudden they come back in your life. And often it's with a story or whatever the case is. They want more money or something, right? Again, I'm not, a lot of you know the stories. You've had them happen in your life. That's what happens. You can't get a hold of them. Why? Because they have to go hide. You don't have a war on drugs. You have a chance of helping people. There is a chance of helping them. I don't know if it's the first I love you or the 500th I love you that will get that person to go, okay, I'm ready to be helped. But I don't care. If they're dead, then it doesn't matter how many I loves you gave them. But if they're alive, you've got a shot at turning them. How do we know this? Portugal, for example, right? Portugal is not a perfect answer, and neither is just decriminalizing drugs. It's not a perfect answer. It is a better answer than now. Now, I know what people will say, but Larry, it's fentanyl. The Chinese giving us fentanyl. I hear it all the time. Here's the issue. What people don't know, if you don't have an addict in your life, you don't understand this to be true. This isn't by mistake. People aren't trying to get heroin and then get fentanyl. They want fentanyl. Let me repeat that for those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about. If you have an addict in your life, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They want fentanyl. But Larry, it kills. They know that. They're looking for a powerful high because they can't get high anymore. So they're literally asking for fentanyl. I'm not joking. That's actually happening now. It's now, remember, there are some kids who are screwing up and taking a Percocet and getting fentanyl. That's happening. But there are over 100 ODs every day in this country. That's not all kids taking a Percocet. That's not what that is. That's mostly addicts taking fentanyl. Now, again, what if it was legal? Or at least not criminalized? You can get safe fentanyl. There is such a thing. They will lie to you and tell you, oh, fentanyl kills you when you touch it. Utter lie, total garbage, not true whatsoever, absolutely made up. You don't touch fentanyl and die. Not a thing. If that were true, there'd be a whole lot of dead people on the border because they got fentanyl up their butt. You know how that works. They'd all be dead, they'll be laying across the border. We'd have a whole bunch. Not true. They made that up to scare you. That's not true. People take fentanyl and survive every day, literally. If we had a safe way, they could live. If they could live, we can help them. I can't help them when they're dead. If almost every, before fentanyl, because fentanyl is very powerful. Prior to fentanyl, when my mom was in the world and when most of my friends were in the world, most people died of an overdose because they didn't know what was in it. That's semi-true today. Not as bad, but semi-true today. Still true today. Not at to the same level, because fentanyl is much more a drug that is hard to judge. But again, if it's legal, then we don't have fentanyl. We would have safer drugs that give higher highs. You can do that. You see it with cannabis already, right? There's a lot of people, and again, if any of you are in the cannabis world, I don't use cannabis, but I know a lot of people are. Libertarian, of course I do. Some people are complaining that some of the cannabis is too potent for them because they come from another day when cannabis wasn't so potent. They're like, this stuff's too potent. Can I get like the cheap stuff? Like they want us if it's not so potent anymore, right? So I think that same thing exists in this case. I know I went long, I apologize, but you asked the question. I wanted to make sure I answered the question. So, all right, let me keep going down this road if I can. Let's see here. Paula says, is Kathy Hochul going to get Biden help with asylum seekers? And what will she fiber Joe? I think give Joe. Give Joe. Let me give Joe in return. The Dems already have New York. Yes. You next when you put give Joe. Yes. This is now becoming a problem, right? What she's going to give Joe is not chaos. I'm wrong on that. Hold on. Not as much chaos. How about that? There we go. Not as much chaos. There we go. She will give Uncle Joe not as much chaos, so the Republicans don't have as much ammunition against him. That's what she'll give him, right? Now, New York State has been given to Biden. He's going, no matter what happens next year in the election cycle, whether Republicans win, Democrats win, whatever it is, here's what I'm 100% sure of. The Democrats will win New York State. If Republicans win, they will win as they won last time with Trump in 2016. They'll win without New York. Or Democrats will win. One or the other. But either way, the Democrats are going to get New York State. That's a guarantee. If any Republican tells you otherwise, they're either lying or ignorant. I know this state very well. I cross it every year. I tell people all the time. I know this state very well. It is not going red next year. It's not. If anyone tells you that, they are either lying or they are ignorant. One or the other, it's not going to happen. With that in mind, your point's a valid one, Paula. What is Kathy Hochul going to give Biden? He's going to get New York no matter what. All the Republicans are leaving and going to Florida. There's not enough Republicans in this state that could possibly. For those who don't know, it's 3-1 Democrat to Republican. 3-1. Think about how bad that is. You'd have to get half of the Democrats in this state to vote Republican for a Republican to win this state. Is that going to happen? Think if it's Trump. New Yorkers hate Trump. Oh my God, New Yorkers hate Trump. New York Democrats hate Trump. There's no way they'll do it. That's a fantasy. That's just people making stuff up. That's never going to happen. So the question is now, what will Biden give her? I think what will she give Biden? This is why it's coming so slow, by the way. Paula, you're very savvy to realize this. Why do you think the checks aren't coming so fast anymore? Right? Back when they were still worried that, oh my God, maybe Lee Zeldin will beat Kathy Hochul. A joke. I told you it would never happen. I told you months before. I told you exactly how much he's going to lose by. Remember that? I said, and I got the receipts in this. I said Zeldin loses by 5 to 7%. He lost by 6. Exactly what I said. Right? Again, I know this state. I can't tell you California. I can't tell you Connecticut. I can't tell you Kentucky. I can tell you New York. That I can tell you. I can tell you I got my state on my shirt. I can tell you New York. So again, I'm sorry, I'm going a bit off topic, but my point is that's why the money's coming so slowly, because he's already got New York in the bag. But will he throw her a check? He will. He has to pacify her. He has to make sure that she does not turn on him. Because what happens if she all of a sudden goes, well, RFK is not that bad. You can't have Kathy Hochul going, RFK is not that bad. Now, does that mean Kathy Hochul is ever going to back RFK? I don't think so, ever. I don't think ever. But every little comment, a little bit of money doesn't go that way. Yes. So that's why he gives her money to keep them in line, to do exactly what's required to keep her in line. Hope I answered that question. So yes. All righty. Let's see here. Andrew says, sorry I'm late. Governor Sharp. Oh, thank you, my friend. Love when you do AMAs. Now for the question. What's your view on cryptocurrencies being used as legal tender in countries like El Salvador and the CAR? CAR. I'm supposed to know what that means. Do me a favor when you have a moment. Tell me what CAR is. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But anyway, I'm assuming you mean is that Central African Republic? Is that CAR, Central African Republic? Is that right? That was my guess. I think I got that right. Let me check. Are you putting it down? Is that Central African Republic? I think that's what you mean. So, yes, 2 things. 1, I love whenever cryptocurrencies are used, period. I'm a big fan of cryptocurrency. Why am I a big fan of cryptocurrency? Anything that breaks the monopoly of fiat currency is a good thing. Anything. Now, however, the issue is things like Bitcoin can be very volatile. My hope is that more people use it so that it becomes less volatile. Because right now, for those who don't know about cryptocurrencies, the vast majority of cryptocurrencies are not used as currency. They're used as investments, right? Which I'm not mad at you for it. It makes sense. I have it too. I have a bunch of Bitcoin and I'm not using it. I'm using it as an investment. So I'm part of the problem. So that's why I can't sit here and go, don't do it, right? Because I'm doing it. So I'm not going to sit here and say, don't do it. However, I wish less people would do it, because if more people would use it, it should begin to either balance out or be less volatile as the value creeps up. I hope the value slowly creeps up. As more people use it, there's more value in that, right? So that is my hope. So I'm very happy they're using it. I want them to keep using it. I've heard they're using it in Venezuela too. Or was it Colombia? I heard it was Venezuela. They're all also using it in Venezuela. That's what I heard. So I think it's a wonderful idea. I think they should be using it whenever possible. Big fan. Yes, yes, and yes. Look, the U.S. has done something insanely stupid. And they have weaponized the dollar for a proxy war. That's stupid. And people tell me, Larry, you're wrong. What about this? What about that? All these things. No, you don't want to weaponize the dollar unless this is like the end of the world, right? Like Russia's going to fight us and it's threatening to do whatever. Then fine. at that point, weaponize anything, right? If that's happening. This is a proxy war, right? It's a proxy war. You've weaponized the dollar. People say, what do you mean by that? Okay. We decided to freeze people's assets, to not let them trade in dollars anymore. So literally, there's some guy in another country, probably Russia or a Russian ally, Belarus or someplace like that, who has assets in dollars someplace in America. And we just said, you can't have them. But I have millions of dollars in dollars. Yeah, no. Why? Because you're an oligarch. And we've decided you're bad because you're fighting some war. You can't have money. Well, then now, don't you think every other rich guy in every country would be mad at us thinking, do I want to do that? You take my stuff too? Huh. I mean, these are guys who aren't fighting in the war. They aren't generals in the army even. They're just oligarchs taking it. Now, you cannot like them. I get it. But you're going to take their money? So rob from them because they're oligarchs? We did that. We also said, well, now you can't sell your stuff in dollars anymore. We're going to stop you. Okay, Russia has a massive amount of land and more natural resources, I think, than any country in the world. I think that's true. They have so many natural resources, tons of them. And people want those natural resources. They want oil and coal and lumber and whatever else, and minerals and whatever else Russia has. They want it. Well, now you can't do it in dollars. What are you going to do? Oh, did you not see? They've created the BRICS nations now. BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And now they're going to have their own currencies back and forth. Duh. So the war on money creates more money, just like the war on drugs creates more drugs. Yes, the war on money creates more money. So yeah, we're screwing up. We weaponize the dollar for a stupid reason, and now de-dollarization of the world is coming. It's not tomorrow. I mean, the dollar is far too ubiquitous to go away tomorrow. It'll be maybe 10 years or something like that, right? But it will eventually happen. So when that happens, cryptocurrency, Andrew, not a bad deal. So I hope that makes sense. So yes. All righty. Libertarian Lady says, thoughts on Mitch McConnell glitch? Yes. It goes to the same thing. These people, this is a system to where they never leave. They never leave. I know a lot of people are saying, that there should be an age limitation on service. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, maybe. I don't like the idea of saying, because look, there are people who are 75 who are still doing fine. Sharpest attack, still good, all good. And there are people who are 50 who are shot, right? So is it really an age? So I'm not sure I'm good with that. I haven't been convinced that an age limitation is the right answer because there are people who are savvy at certain ages and people who suck at younger ages. So I'm not sure. I mean, if someone were to say you need to have a cognitive test or something, maybe I'm open to that idea, right? Of having some form of test that you still got your wits about you. I'm okay with that concept. But the problem is a bigger problem. And that is there's no real democracy in voting for senators or congresspeople. You say, wait a minute, how do we vote? I know, but there's no real democracy. We all know they only allow two parties in the ballot in most states. That's it. And most areas are gerrymandered so that one side always wins. And then the parties in that place, they select who they want to be their guy or gal, and that's their guy or gal. Where's democracy? Voting is just the thing we do to make us feel good. It doesn't actually do anything. So yeah, in fact, and I bring this up all the time. In my district here in New York City for assembly, they haven't, the Republicans, and there's only two parties that can do anything here in the city where I am. The Republicans haven't run a candidate in 10 years. They don't bother running a candidate anymore. Why bother? You try to call the Republican Party, local district. It's like some guy's like dry cleaner. He's like, yeah, what's up? It's Joey. That's the Republican party center here. It's embarrassingly bad. So yeah. So my thoughts is he should go away. He should have gone away a long time. And if we had a system that was actually fair, he'd have been gone already. So I don't know if that helps. So the scientific libertarian, if you became president, who would be your anger translator? Me. I would just start scolding people. That could be a jerk. I'd be the president. I'd just yell at people and stuff. What would I care? Look, if I become president, if I'm lucky, I get 2 years before I'm impeached or, the powers that be decide I would prefer to be underground than above ground. Either of those two, right? So yes. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. If I can go down here. Dave says, question, when did Rudy Giuliani stop being a rhino? I remember 2008, he was called a rhino. Well, once you join a Trump world, you're not a rhino anymore, right? Now how that works? There we go. There we go. Yes. All righty. John says, I get the feeling Vivek stays nice to Trump to hopefully be pivot to a VP role with Trump. I don't think that's true. I have no inside information. I'm just giving you my opinion on this. No inside information. Like Vivek hasn't told me something or whatever. Nope. I have no inside information. It's just my opinion. I think Vivek is actually doing the smartest thing. He's positioning himself so that in case Trump actually does somehow not get on that line, that he is the obvious successor, right? I think he's hoping that somehow, Trump quits, Trump goes to jail, Trump, whatever, something happens, right? Now, look, I think Trump is going to take this all the way to the election. That's my opinion. Again, no one's had information, but I believe that's going to happen. I think others think there's a way it could fall. And look, what's on the downside of Vivek? No, he's like 38, 39, something like that. He's a young guy. If it does work and Trump somehow doesn't make it all the way, if something happens in any way, shape, or form, he's the obvious successor. Home run, well done. If Trump wins and takes it and Vivek doesn't take the VP slot, he's set up as a successor in the next time. I mean, who's going to be more set in 2028 than him? If Trump wins the election, he's not going to run again. That's all he gets. Someone's got to replace him. Vivek just shows up, successor, whatever. Trump never attacked him, never does bad. Whatever. Trump loses, now Vivek becomes the guy who's going to revenge Trump, whatever. I feel it's not a VP play. I think it's a play for either president now, if Trump somehow falters, or president in 2028 when he will feel like, and he's 4 more years, right? If he loses, it's 4 more years to prep this. He'll be campaigning, and he's already a multimillionaire. So he'll be campaigning for 4 more years during that time. He'll be super popular, probably have a TV show or a podcast or something. He'll be on Joe Rogan, whatever. He'll do all the things. So yes. All righty. Let's see here. Josh says, Larry, let's form a super campaign for 2026 governor's race with Harry Wilson, Andrew Giuliani, Rob Astorino, and Rachel Barnhart during the swamp 2026. How is everyone going to? There's only one governor. You want all of us to run together? Everyone you mentioned, I happen to like. So I don't want to fight any of these guys. I like them all. I'm actually friends with Harry. I'm actually friends with Andrew. Rob was on my show. So yeah, I'm like friends with all of them. So I don't want to fight any of them, to be forward with you, Josh. Why don't we just make a deal on like how we can split the ticket? How about that? Maybe that's better. That might work. There we go. So, all right. See if I can grab here. Alex says, Larry, how can I audit my local community board in Queens? I want to audit community board 9 in Queens. Any potholes and other things wrong in our community? That is a good question. One which I'm actually unsure the right way of doing that. You've actually stumped me on that one. Reach out to me on Twitter and I will find an answer for you. I just don't know the best way of doing that because community boards are different. Yeah. In theory, your local New York City Council person should be able to help you with that, in theory. But sadly, they're often in bed with them. So it's tough. But I don't know. Okay. I'm clear now. You can ask your current New York City Council member or the person who ran against them. Either one of those. I'd reach out to either of them via their official page and say what you want to do, and they will have to respond to you. Even if they want to tell you no or give you some dodge, they have to respond to you. Your current city councilman or councilperson, representative, or the person who ran against them in the last election. That's how you would do that. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Yes. So, all righty. You grab this one. Hold on. Steve says, hello, everybody. I like that. That's awesome. Good. All right. That Libertarian lady says, "Can you talk about the ballot acts that third parties in New York State?" This is a very tough one, right? Most people will tell me all the time, Larry, I get this question all the time, why aren't people paying attention to libertarians? Why aren't they doing opinions to any third parties? Why do people fight so much? And another thing people say all the time is, well, Trump will be fine because if Trump doesn't get the Republican nomination, he'll just run third party. Okay, no. That is absolutely not true at all. He is not going to run third party. Why? For the same reason why people don't pay attention to libertarians. Because getting on the ballot is a challenge in most states. Let me be clear about this. A lot of people go, well, you should run better candidates. I never see you on the ballot. Okay, the system is stacked against us. And that's not a whine. It's a truth that I'm trying to fight. As you can see me constantly do this. I'm trying to fight this broken system. I can sit back and just cry and go, it's too bad, boo-hoo, and not do anything. And most people do that. I get it because it's hard to fight this. But I'm trying to fight this. The three things we have to worry about is polling, press, and the ballot, right? I'll go to ballot first, as you mentioned. I want you to imagine something. You're somebody who wants to run for office. You think you should run for office. You think, well, I'll just run. I'll, register with the local people, pay a small, amount, and I'll be on the ballot. No. You will have to get signatures, pay fines, do all types of things. And then the two big parties will go out of their way to sue you to throw you off the ballot. How do I know that? I did that. And they sued me off the ballot. And judges in New York State, worse than any other state. I mean, not even close. Judges in New York State suck. If you're a judge in New York State, you probably suck because it's just terrible. Judges in New York State do not care about the people. They care about the system. And they always back the system over the people. That's it. The system is what matters, not the people. So when I go to them, and I literally did this I sued them last year, and I said, there's no harm in me being on a ballot. And I showed them proof of it. I was on the ballot in 2018. If you don't like me, don't vote for me. Literally, millions of New Yorkers in 2018 did not vote for me. So clearly the evidence is there. If you don't like me, don't vote for me. There is no harm in me being on a ballot. But people want to vote for me. Why? 100,000 of them voted for me last time. So unless all 100,000 of those people left New York State, probably could happen, but unless all of those people left, they still want to vote for me. So why wouldn't you put me on the ballot? And they were like, nope, too bad, don't care, out. Didn't care. Well, people want to vote. I told them this. I said 500,000 New Yorkers every 2 years, every cycle, vote independent in some way. Now, when they vote independent, they know that the odds of the person winning are slim to none. They know it. They don't think, oh my God, independents always win. They don't think that. They're aware. So why would you get out of bed, not watch Netflix or play a video game, not play with your family or friends, and go to the polling station and make a vote when you know the odds are that guy's not going to win or that gal's not going to win? Why would you do that? It's a protest vote. That's what it is. It shows the rest of the system sucks. You're trying to break a system. Say something. It's freedom of speech. I expressed that. They didn't care. Guess how many people less voted in 2022 compared to 2020? 500,000. Why? 500,000 less. This is the first time in 80 years in New York State there was not an independent candidate for governor on the ballot. First time in 80 years. Half many people didn't vote. Same amount I told the judges. They literally disenfranchised half a million New Yorkers. And to be clear, don't give a shit at all. None of those judges are like, oh my God, I made a mistake. None of them are. They're all like, good. One judge actually said out loud, no. These laws are made to keep people who can't win off the ballot. He literally said that and was happy with it. He wasn't mad about it. Yeah, good idea. Get rid of these people. Yes. That's New York State judges. So how am I supposed to get on a ballot when the system says, no, you can't even be on the piece of paper for people to vote for you. You don't get to do that. And most important part, many of you don't know, parties are not part of the Constitution. They're not in the Constitution. We made them up and then took over the Constitution. They're not a thing. You can't find political parties in the Constitution. Now, if you ask the founders, they thought political parties were a terrible idea, would ruin the country. Oh, boy, were they right. Did we listen? No. Of course we didn't. Oh, we listened to them. Are you stupid? They're the founders. They're dumb. Don't listen to them. Political parties are everything. They're a disaster. They've hurt us no matter what. So now what do I have to do? I have to literally next year officially get 45,000 signatures, which means really at least 60,000, if not more. 60,000 signatures over the course of 6 weeks at a time period where there are still snowstorms in New York State. Yes. So I have to get about 2,000 signatures every day for 5 or 6 weeks straight. That's what I must do. That is virtually impossible. In fact, last year, not one candidate made it. No governor candidates made it at all. None. Harry Wilson tried. He's a multimillionaire. Couldn't do it. Lee Zeldin, the guy who ran for office, he tried it. He couldn't do it. So he made the Republicans because they just get grandfathered in because they're Republicans. They just get it. But now he had tried it himself. He couldn't do it because he tried to get a secondary line. He couldn't do it. And I couldn't do it. Howie Hawkins couldn't do it. None of us could do it. And I told the courts, this is impossible. You might think I'm nuts. This is on record. I told the courts, this is impossible. Then I appealed afterwards and said, nobody made it. So I said it's impossible. And now look, it's impossible. They said, oh, we don't care. I said, but I'm telling you it's impossible. And look, it's impossible. We don't care. No. Just no. Just go to hell. One of the judges, Judge Weinstein, told me I didn't make a constitutional argument in his response, when literally in my written and oral arguments, both of them, I used the word constitutional. Either he didn't read it or didn't care or lied. I think he didn't read it. He didn't read it. He didn't care. Whatever. Go to hell, Larry Sharpe. We don't care. And none of them have reached out. None of them made statements. None of them care at all. So I must do that. That's going to cost me hundreds, I'm not joking, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to do that. So I can't even have a campaign. That's just to get on. That's just to get the signatures. Once you get the signatures, they will sue me. Literally, I'll be clear. They send people to the Board of Elections to look at every single signature. I'm not joking. Every one of them, and to throw them off and say they're no good. Every one of them. They go through 60,000 signatures, one at a time. No, not good, not good. And the courts and the Board of Elections are so broken. I'm not joking. For those of you who don't know New York City, one of the boroughs, everyone calls Brooklyn. That's actually the mailing address is Brooklyn. However, the county is officially called Kings County. I'm not joking. That's the actual name of the county is called Kings County. Even though everyone calls it Brooklyn, it's called Brooklyn. The mailing address is Brooklyn. If you write on your signature, Brooklyn, they will throw it out saying there's no county called Brooklyn. And judges go, that makes sense. Shame on any piece of garbage judge who would say that. And the Board of Elections, shame on you for even accepting that. It's like they put Flamalama. We know it's Brooklyn. You got to go through every one of them and change everyone from Brooklyn to Kings. Staten Island is not called Staten Island. It's Richmond County. Change to Richmond. Manhattan is not actually called Manhattan. It's actually called New York County. Change to New York. Yes, we have to go through all of that. Once we go through all of that, we have to go to court because they will sue us. So that, all, again, will cost $100,000 just in lawyers. They will use that. And it's state's free because the state gets Board of Election lawyers for free because they're Democrats, Republicans. That's how that works. So I have to pay. Theirs is free. But then I'm always bugging you for money. Why am I always bugging you for money? I got to pay lawyers. Yes. Once that happens, I then promote so that I can actually get 130,000 votes or 2%, whichever is higher. Yes. 130,000 votes or 2%, whichever is higher. Once I do all of that, Libertarian Party or any third party to be forward, any third party is now an official party. I know that was long, but you asked. So you got the information. Speaking of that, me bugging you for stuff. Let me bug you for a like. Do me a favor. If you like what I'm talking about, you like them doing AMAs again, show me the love. I'm doing AMAs on a Friday night. Click the like button. If you haven't clicked the like button, what's wrong with you? Click it. Just click it now. If you're watching on Twitter, do me a favor. Please retweet this right now. Let people know that I'm here. Retweet this. If you want to support the channel and get your tweet to the front, get your chat to the front, you can always super chat me if you're watching on YouTube. Larry Sharpe YouTube, super chat me is fine. If you want to support the show, you want to keep doing this more and more and more, I can. Head over to patreon.com/Sharpeway. For me, $10 a month so I can keep doing this. $10 a month goes a long way. If a lot of you help me out and do this, I can do more and more of this, which is what I'm trying to do. It does matter. There are very few libertarian voices out there who cover the topics that I cover and that have the guests that I have on. If you've seen the diversity of guests that I have on my show, it is, I think, I'm biased, obviously, but I don't care. I think the best that any libertarian has created when it comes to diversity of guests. I can't see any better ones than that. If you want to support my my attempt at ballot access next year that the lovely Lady Liberty has brought up, you can do so. LarrySharpe.com/ballot access. The link is in the description of both YouTube and Facebook. Click that link and give all that you can give. What I would like you to give is 20 to 25 bucks a month for the next year and a half. That's what I would like. 20, 25 bucks a month, next year and a half. Get us on the ballot, get us through everything. That would be awesome to do that. If you happen to have a whole lot of money, you can throw me some, throw me a bunch. Throw me a bunch. You do it through ballot access, that's where it's going. Literally, that's where it's going, to ballot access. If you can do that, please do that. It would help tremendously. Want to support the show itself, that's separate. That's patreon.com/sharpway. So thank you all for that. I'll keep going down here if I can. So, all right. Grace says, how can we build an LP media empire like what the Murdochs have done? I got to tell you, I've been trying to do that. If you've noticed, a lot of my guests that I bring on are people who have other audiences from other areas. So I'm trying to bring more people into this world. I am trying to do that. It takes time. It's difficult, but it's what I do. The more I can do that, the better. I also have multiple shows. I have Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live. I have the Sharpway AMA. I have my radio show, Sharpway Radio, and I have the Sharp Club, which is a panel show on Monday nights. So I've recently opened up different types of shows also to make that better. And now I'm already looking at bringing people on to have ongoing shows. I'm already having a conversation with a couple guys already, figuring out how we can make that happen, because I do want to begin to expand this to the best of our ability. But to be forward, Grace, takes cash. So I have to have enough people who believe in me who can then begin to filter that cash into this. And sadly, I'm doing two things at once. I'm trying to focus on the party to grow ballot access and Sharpway, and I still have a day job. I pay bills. I live in New York City with 2 kids. So I am still doing all those things. So it is challenging for me to make all those things happen. That's why I keep bugging people for that. I do all the time. So I hope I answered your question at least. So there we go. Liberty DIY says Sharp Tank. Not bad. So stealing it. Stealing. I love it. Stealing that. Yeah, that's pretty good. 100%. All right, let me grab a couple more of these again. Joe asked, would the Libertarian Party have 50 state ballot access in 2024? I actually don't know. I wish I had a better answer to that. I'm only focusing on New York State. That is my focus. It's what I can do. So I am focusing on New York State because I feel like if we don't have New York State, that is such a handicap when it comes to, just the idea, the PR of it, right? The image of it, not having New York State. So I am going out of my way to work on that. If others work as hard as I do, then yes, but actually I don't know. We are struggling in many states. I hope we'll get 50. I wish I had a better answer for that. I wish I had a better answer for that. So yes. Mary says, Vivek, no. I guess you're not a fan. But yes, he is very popular though. And I gotta tell you, I called this, if those of you paying attention to me, I called Vivek years ago. I called him months ago. On Kennedy, I called it. When I was on Danny Abrams Live, I called it. I was like, he is the guy to look for. It is, in my view, I said it then and I believe it now. It's either Trump or Vivek. I think Trump's going to win this thing. It seems like he's going to win the nomination. I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but I believe it looks now he's going to win the nomination. I can't see anybody beating him except maybe long shot Vivek, maybe, but probably Vivek's going to see if Trump somehow fails. And again, I don't know how that would happen, but anything's possible. Assuming Trump doesn't, get sick or whatever, I think Trump is going to win this thing. Or at least the nomination. I don't know if he's going to win the presidency, but I think he's going to win the nomination. If he doesn't, I think it will be Vivek. I think he's in my view, he is the obvious successor. That's just my view. Again, no inside information. I just think that's true. So anyway, all righty. Let's see here. It says gold/silver still a good investment versus crypto. Are you asking me for that? All right, I have to say the thing. This is not investment advice. You have to say that. Yeah. Gold and silver, I think, are always going to be a good investment. I don't think they're ever going to be a bad investment. The question is, are you getting actual gold or actual silver, or are you getting like a piece of a bond or a piece of a something, right? Is it actually gold or silver? If it is gold or silver, it's always going to be a good investment. Now, it's going to be better than crypto. Depends, to be forward with you. Crypto sometimes can explode. Crypto is going to be much more volatile. If you're looking for a long-term investment, generally speaking, gold and silver is going to be a good investment, right? It's never going to be bad. Are they going to lose value? Are you looking for a big hit? I got to tell you, if you're prepared to gamble, crypto is absolutely a better choice for you, right? It depends. Are you prepared to gamble or not? You ready to gamble? Crypto is the answer. Crypto is the gamble. You could really make some cash on crypto, and you can lose your money too, like badly. The odds of you losing money on gold or silver are slim. I mean, you could, and it could happen, but the odds are slim. It's a safe bet to do gold or silver, but you're also probably not going to explode and double, triple your money either. Crypto, you can quadruple your money, multiply by 10. So I guess what I would say is, how much are you prepared to gamble? If you're open to gambling and you like that idea, I would definitely throw my money into crypto. It's a good gamble. If you're like, no, I want to make it more of a sound, slow, gold and silver is going to be a better bet. Again, I have to say again, that was not investment advice. Just my opinion on that. So yes. All righty. Let me grab a couple more. There's so many that I appreciate that. All righty. Jason says, just when you know, I've been sharing some of your content on TikTok. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. I've not been doing that much TikTok stuff. I should be doing more. Yeah, I should be doing more. I've not done that much. Yes. All right. Alex says, where can we see a list of questions? Yeah, right here. I'm pulling them off of Facebook. I'm pulling them off of YouTube. Yes, absolutely. Facebook and YouTube is where I'm pulling them off of. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Dave says, she'll make sure the immigrants as refugees won't go on a killing spree. That's the only way Republicans win New York. Yes. Yeah, that's what Kathy Hochul will give Biden, right? At last minute, maybe she'll just, arrest a bunch of them or something, whatever the case may be. Yes, absolutely. So absolutely. All righty. Let's see here. Michael says, I work for a moderated job at Dash Core Group and get paid directly in Dash. Oh, there we go. I like that. Someone bought a pizza and Bitcoin. To be forward, people do use Bitcoin. They do. It is being used. I'm saying the vast majority of people use it as a investment. But people use cryptocurrency to buy and sell. It does happen. It's just not enough to where you would think it's everybody's doing it, right? So I think that really is the key. If we had enough people doing that, it'd be better. I think it is happening more and more. Yes, it is happening. Mary says, BRICS is stupid. Mary, I disagree completely. I think BRICS is brilliant. Not for us. It sucks for us. It's brilliant for them. What it does is it ensures that our weaponizing the dollar doesn't work. And Russia's a perfect example of that. Russia's economy is not destroyed, right? Is it affected by our de-dollarization? Of course it is. I'm sorry, by our weaponization of the dollar. I'm sorry, wrong phrase. Is it affected by our weaponization of the dollar? Of course it is. It's not destroyed. Didn't destroy them, right? Why? Because BRICS. So I disagree completely. I think BRICS is brilliant. And something else that BRICS has done. What BRICS is doing very interestingly is their dollar, or whatever they're going to call it, the currency. I think they might even call it a brick. I forgot. They're going to call it something, whatever they're going to call it. They're looking at it right now. There's a new bank that's going to pull out. They're going to have their own centralized bank, of course, that's going to make the whatever their new currency is. I think they're going to call it a brick, but whatever it is, they're going to do it. When they do it, they're doing like fiat plus. It's still fiat, right? And for those who know what fiat money is, it's just money has value because we say it has value. That's fiat. Actual money that's based on something is like it's based upon gold. And again, many of you know this already, but there was a time when you could take your dollars and literally cash it in for gold and or silver, right? That was a thing. The sterling pound used to be that, right? You could take your pound, British pound, and turn it into silver. You could do it physically. Like, I want silver. Do that. Those are long gone. That's actual money that's worth something. What the BRICS have done is it's still fiat. It's still, because we say, it's still that. It's not backed by anything, but they have linked it to something. They're linking the brick to the value of gold. So again, it's fiat. They're just saying it. Brick is worth X gold, whatever that is. I don't know what number they're going to, whatever. It's worth X amount of gold. So that's like fiat, but cooler, still fiat. But I think it's brilliant because now it gives the image of the brick having value because they're saying that it has the value of gold, so a certain amount of gold. So I think it's actually not a bad, if you're going to create fiat, I mean, obviously I don't like fiat money, but if you're going to create fiat, it's not a bad way of creating fiat, right? So yes. Anoni, is that right? Anoni? Sanctions backfire. Now the dollar will pay. So stupid. Yes, yes, and yes. 100%. You're totally correct. There is no way that would work. Yes. So Luciano says, I feel like you could explain crypto in easy terminology. Would you consider doing a video/live stream about crypto? Sure, I can do it right now real fast. I want you to imagine, if you would, back in the day, for some of you and some of you now, I remember when I was a kid, I loved comic books and baseball cards. Loved them. I still like comic books a little bit. I don't like baseball cards at all anymore. It's not my thing anymore. But I had many of them. Sadly, my mom threw most of them away when I went into the Marine Corps, so I lost all of them, which really sucks. But I had a bunch of them. And I would trade in them all the time. I would trade baseball cards, trade comic books, right? And when you're trading them back and forth, how do you know what they're worth? How do you know that a Reggie Jackson is worth, I'm dating myself when I say that, is worth a Carl Yastrzemski or not, right? How do you know an Iron Man is worth the Hulk or whatever? How do you know that? The community decides. We decide, no, that's not worth it. I want this. I want that. You trade back and forth. Well, aren't you kind of buying? Aren't I buying my Reggie Jackson card with my Carl Yastrzemski card or something? Aren't I doing that, right? Aren't I doing that thing? I'm buying it back and forth. Well, then why would you want to stop that? Where's the government involved in that transaction? Where's taxation involved in that? There isn't. When do you have to pay tax or deal with dollars? When you trade them in for dollars. So if I then sell my card, not trading, I sell my card for dollars, well, then that's income. And then the dollars come in and taxation comes in. But if I don't sell my cards, I don't pay tax on them. They're my cards. I trade them as I see fit. Cryptocurrency can easily be seen as that. People trading in what they find value in. What they find, do I find value in Bitcoin? Do I find value in Dogecoin? Do I find, in Litecoin? Whatever. What do I find value in? You agree to that value, we may trade back and forth. That's how that works. But then what is the actual currency? Currency is supposed to be a measure of something, right? Man hours, dollars, gold, something. Cryptocurrency is basically measured by how it is mined, electricity and energy. It's mined, right? What happens is a certain number of computers create a certain amount of work or energy that then creates one unit of the thing, and that's the value of it. That's how it is. That's what cryptocurrency basically is. It is some form of energy created, whatever that is, usually by doing work like almost always it's some type of solving a problem or something like that. They do it. That creates a certain amount. That is now one something. That is one Doge. That is one Bitcoin. That is one so-and-so, whatever it is, right? And generally, it has to keep going upon itself. The more it makes, the more it takes, the more it builds. So each one of them, generally speaking, will have more value because it takes more work and it keeps going up and up and up. And then people use it back and forth, and the market decides how much value it has. Do a lot of people want a lot of Bitcoins? Value goes up. People don't want it. Value goes down. Sadly, I remember when Bitcoin was $200 and I did not buy a Bitcoin. I should have mortgaged my home and bought Bitcoin then. Who knew? Right? So if people want to use it, it becomes valuable. The reality of it is money is what people say is valuable. But yes, I'm happy to have a conversation about it in the future. Hope that was kind of easy to understand a little bit there. That helps at all. So yes. Alex also says, Larry, why haven't you run for mayor of New York City since you weren't able to become governor? What if you started small and became mayor of New York City? Great question, Alex. One, I have considered running for mayor of New York City. I have considered it. I have. But there's two things to remember. One, I don't just want to run for stuff, right? What value is that? I run for stuff. I'm just a perpetual guy who runs for stuff. It's nice. I don't want to do that. I want to do it with purpose or with reason, right? So I want to win something. What valuable is that, right? If I want to win something, I'll run as a Democrat here in New York City and I'll win something. So what? Who cares? It doesn't make any impact, no change. I want to run with something that makes impact. New York City is 6-1 Democrat to Republican. And literally the headquarters in New York City of the Democratic Socialist of America. Do you think I'm going to win New York City? Do you make an impact in New York City? If I believe I can make an impact in New York City, I would run for mayor. If I believe I can make an impact. The odds of me winning this city are slim to none. But could I make an impact? I don't know. If I think I could make an impact, I would run. But I don't want to run just to run. Here's the problem. People don't understand when it comes to running. When I run, three things have to happen. Number one, I take up a bunch of my time to do so because I do it seriously, which means I can't work. If I can't work, I can't make money. So I also can't spend time with my family and friends. So I sacrifice time with my family and friends, and I sacrifice my money to run for office, number one. Number two, I have to bug you all for money. So now I get all of you to give me money. I run for mayor. I got to raise it 6 figures. I got to bug all of you for $500,000. Yes, $500,000. I got to ask you for that. Of course. To do what? To just lose and mean nothing? To throw my money, my time, my energy away, and your money and your time and energy in the garbage? Is that why I want to do that? And then worse, what people don't understand, they think running for office is great. Do you understand the shit I take? My loss is public. My ass whipping is public. Yours isn't. And when I was here, you get your ass whipped, nobody knows. You get fired at work. You have a personal loss. That's as private as you want it to be. My loss, public and on record forever. People give me shit about my losses literally weekly. I'm not even joking. Literally weekly. And of course, most of the other libertarians being assholes. That's most of them. All the time. So I take that loss until I drop dead. If I live for 30 more years, 30 more years, I take that. Never goes away, ever. You run for something local no one knows about, who cares? When I run big. So my loss is massive. And I take that. I know some of you think, well, yeah, what, Larry Sharp? Don't you understand how bad I feel when I let people down? I'm just human. When I let people down, do you think it doesn't bother me? Does it make me feel like shit? Of course it does. People think running is, if you run like so many people do, paper candidate, don't do anything, work 60 hours a week and then run 2 hours on the weekend, fine, run all the time. It's not what I do. I run seriously, knowing that I'm probably going to lose, knowing that I'm probably going to throw my money, my time, and energy in the garbage. Knowing that, I still do it. So I take it seriously. So people say, why don't you run it next year for president? If I was going to run for president, I'd have been starting to run last year. I'd have started my run last year. Or at least first thing this year. It'll take me 2 years to run for president, at least. And I can't work. I can't do anything. I just do that and bug you for money 24/7. I got to raise 7 figures. I run for president. And I can't work. I'm campaigning 24/7 if I run president. 24/7. I'm in every state, every goddamn day doing stuff. It's to take a run seriously, to make real impact, to inspire people to do it the right way, to motivate people to write you checks, to motivate people to support you. I gotta take my run seriously. So I appreciate it. I do. But I'll only do it if I feel I can make impact. Because I don't want to take my money. I don't want to take your money. I don't want to take my time. I don't want to take your time unless there's something behind it. I don't want you to be like, another waste of time, Larry Sharp. I want you to be like, I'm glad I got behind that guy. Oh my God, I'm glad I gave him money. I'm glad I gave him time because this happened or that happened. So again, appreciate it. Appreciate all you asking me for president. Running for office is punishment if you do it right. Some people do it crappy and it doesn't matter. You do it crappy, who cares? You do it the right way, it is punishment. And I only want to punish you and me if I think it's worth it. So thank you for that. I will consider New York City. I will consider it in 2025. I'm not against it, but I have to believe I can make impact. Otherwise, I'll pass, right? I run for governor for several reasons. One, if I actually win governor, literally, I change the entire country. The payoff for victory is massive. And sadly, and it's a personal issue, the Libertarian Party makes me so angry because they just don't get it. They put money into so much other shit that has virtually no value, that has no return on investment. If I win governor of New York State, the entire country changes overnight. That's not a joke. If some guy wins someplace locally, that's nice. I'm happy about it, but they're probably going to lose their seat next year anyway. New York State, the entire country changes overnight. And I was polling at 6% in 2021 before I even announced in New York State as a libertarian. That's insane numbers. And the vast majority of the Libertarian Party across the country went, whatevs. What are you going to do? So I have to be able to believe that the payoff is going to be great if I win, but the payoff also being great if I don't win, which in 2018, it was. We got ballot access. All of a sudden, people were winning across New York State. The payoff was great if I don't win. If I had not won in 2022, but imagine if I come in second. People say all the time, well, Zeldin almost won. So goddamn what? What changed? Nothing. Colossal waste of time, money, and energy. Nothing changed. The Republicans have been coming in second for 22 years in this state and nothing changes. Who cares? So what? What if I'd come in second? Imagine if I'd come in second instead. Everything changes. Impact is massive. Impact is massive if I come in second or third. Impact is massive. I break 10%. Impact is massive. That's why I want to run when it matters. Plus, in New York State, no libertarian can actually run to actually make any impact. You can't get past everything. So anyway, I hope I answered your question. So I'd be open to the idea, but I've got to see impact. Otherwise, I don't want to do that. I wouldn't want to. So yes. All right, let's go down here. Eric says, that's the problem. It's not just Hochul, it's New York State Democrat voters who are more at fault, who keep people like Hochul or even AOC in power. You have a valid point there, right? There's a valid point, Eric, that the voters want this. And I try to tell people this. People say, Larry, your messaging is strong enough in New York State. Everyone who says that, you don't know my state. You just don't. Maybe that works in your state. I'm not saying your messaging is wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying your messaging is wrong for my state. That's what I'm saying. New York State is 3-1 Democrat Republican. It is. It's the way it is. Messaging goes differently in that state. It just does. If you don't have the right message with the right messaging, if you can't turn Democrats, you can't win and affect New York State. That's a fact. If you can't turn Democrats, you can't affect New York State. Again, so you go to Oklahoma or Kansas. If you can't turn Republicans, you can't turn that state, right? Impossible. Those are heavily Republican states. Utah is like 4-1 Republican and Democrat. You can't turn Republicans. You can't turn that state. New York State's 3-1 Democrat Republican. You can't turn Democrats. You can't turn this state. So you're right. And too many people don't understand that. And that's why they fail. Remember, what do Democrats hate? Republicans. So they hate. Republicans hate Democrats. That's how it works. They don't want to vote for each other, but they will vote for independents. They will vote for third parties. They will do it. So yes. All right, let me grab a couple of these here too. Well, so many of these. Anani says the U.S. never saw how good the other side got in the last 30 years. They see it and it's too late. I don't know if that's for me. I don't understand what that means. Was that for me? I'm not sure. Sorry about that. I'm not really sure where that is. All right, let me grab a couple more of these if I could. You guys give me a lot of questions. I appreciate it. Yes. All righty. Joe says, I talked to someone today who didn't know they had multiple choice in the president in 2020 in Michigan. Yeah. Right. I'll go to the next piece. I've talked about ballot access. So this is what I brought up was media, right? Media and polling. Some of you don't know this. Polling is pay to play. You want to be in a poll, you have to buy the poll. A lot of people go, wait a minute. No, they do the polling with the right people. No, they don't. Why do you think in so many Democratic polls, they did polling and RFK wasn't in the polling? You guys remember that? Early on, RFK was not in any polls. They put polling in without RFK. Why? Because the Biden camp and his Pats were buying the polls. And when you buy the poll, you put in who you want in the poll. I'm not joking. You go put all these people, no RFK. The polling company goes, okay, thanks for the check. It costs you about 50 grand to do a poll. 50 grand. Joe, I know you're a multimillionaire and you can afford 50 grand, but a lot of us other people can't afford to just write checks for 50 grand. So because you can't write that check for 50 grand, you can't get in the polls. It becomes a problem. So they do the polls like that. But now what happened is RFK got so popular that now even the media, people are like, this is a bogus poll. It doesn't count. So now the polling company goes, whoa. Now we're hurting ourselves by putting this poll out. You got to put RFK in now. So how do you do it? Popularity. The more popular you are, or you just buy the polls. Either one. If I buy the poll, I put who I want to poll. I buy the poll. So if I buy the poll, I'll put Larry Sharpe or nobody. Larry Sharpe won the poll. Fine. Now the question is, do you think it's a valid poll? Probably not. I got to put somebody in to be real. But could I commission a poll that says, would you like Larry Sharpe or Genghis Khan or whatever, insert bad guy, right? Or Joseph Stalin, right? Whatever. I mean, some places they pick Stalin over me. Anyway, across the country, I think I'd beat Stalin, right? But I could do that. So see, I won a presidential poll. It would be an accurate statement for me to say, I won a presidential poll. Me against Stalin, I won, and I paid for it. It's an actual poll, and I win. But no one's going to believe it's real, right? No one believes it's real. So I have to put somebody in for someone to believe it's a real poll. Hope that makes sense. So polling matters tremendously. And then business media. The advantage we have today that we did not have before is social media. And RFK Jr. and Vivek are both showing that that's a thing. They have spent so much time in social media, podcasts, things like that, that the mainstream had to pick them up. The mainstream was ignoring them completely. But they're on every podcast, right? Soon on mine. They'll be on every podcast. If they're on every podcast, then eventually mainstream goes, fine, I'll pick them up. Absolutely. So hope that answers your question. Guys, one more time, if I could. I ask you about the polling and such. You know what? Click the like button. That's a poll in itself. Are people liking this? Click the like button if you haven't. Please do something. I have to get past Al Gore. Algorithms. I must get past Al Gore. So please, let me get past Al Gore. Click the like button. It does matter. If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this right now. Just retweet it. If you're on YouTube, you can share this into anything else you want to share it into. Share it someplace you think it's important. If you're on Facebook, share it into a group. Share it with your friends. Share it. Please do so. It does matter. Super chat me if you want your chat to go to the front. If you want to support the show, please support the show directly. Patreon.com/Shortway. For me, $10 a month, so I can keep doing this. It does matter. It's how I get this thing going. And of course, if you want to support my attempt at getting ballot access next year, you can. LarrySharp.com/ballot-access. The links are in the YouTube and Facebook description. Every dollar counts. I have to raise about $500,000 total. Guys, throw some money at me if you can. It does matter. If you don't have cash, no worries. You can always volunteer. Volunteer helps also, right? And how do you volunteer? By liking and sharing and commenting. All of those things matter. Please do that. It really does matter. All right, grab a couple more if I could. Let's see here. So many of these. Joel says, the New York State Board of Elections is attacking the New York Citizens Audit. Several papers are carrying a press release from BOE because we live impersonating state officials. Utter garbage. The BOE is terrible. Terrible. Not the workers. The workers are just state workers. They're just doing their job. Not mad at the workers. They're just workers doing their job. Not mad at them. The lawyers and the leadership are nothing but party hacks. They're embarrassingly bad. So if they put it out, probably a lie. Probably a lie. Just probably a lie. I mean, they're just so terrible. It's in bad. So yes. Ira says, we need you as governor of New York State. I agree, Ira. I just need about another 2 million or so New Yorkers to agree with you, and we'll be fine. So yes. Michael said, is that a Quonset hut you're broadcasting from? Thank you for noticing. Yes, my Marine Corps brothers. Quonset hut. Yes, this is my Quonset bunker that I'm behind. Yes, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Yes. Joe says, when are you doing Twitter Spaces? I didn't really like Twitter Spaces that much, but maybe I should try it. More people are doing it. I've always thought it was like weaker than this type of like call in that I do every Tuesday. I do a call in. You can call me on Tuesday and talk to me directly. But maybe I will do that. I got to start thinking maybe I should do some Twitter Spaces. I am rethinking that. I really am rethinking that. So thank you for asking and bringing it up. I think I will do that. Yes. So anyway, let me keep going here. Liberty DIY says, you run with integrity and we appreciate that. Oh, thank you, my friend. I try my best to do it, right? I'm trying to do that. And I still get dumped on. People still get mad at me and say stuff all the time. I mean, it still happens. So yeah, but I am trying. Yes. Eric says, Larry, you run in New York City, they'll call you far right. 100%. 100%. Absolutely. Eric goes on to say, Larry, you have soul. Oh, thank you. This makes you different from the rest of the vultures that run for office in New York State. Well, remember, the system we have now is made for the vultures, right? And this is on record. If any of you care to look up the public record, it is on public record. If any of you care, I literally told the judges, you are creating a system of aristocracy where only the people who are in office can run for office. You're creating that right now. You are making sure they're the only ones going to run. And I was right. Who ran for office in 2018 besides me? Who was Democrat, Republican? Both people who were already in office. The current, it was a county executive and the current governor. And who ran this time, 2022? The current governor and a congressman. That's all who gets to run. All who gets to run are people who are already in the system. So the aristocracy gets to run. Nobody else does. You're encouraging an aristocracy. This is my words to them. They were like, we don't care. Yeah, we don't care. Yes. So, yeah, you're correct. I wish you were wrong. but you were absolutely correct. So yes. Let's see if I can go down here, grab a couple more of these. Joe says, trust us, bro, fiat creators. Yeah, it's kind of true. So yes, absolutely. So John says, if the LP doesn't get in the ballot in 2024, will you write in the LP candidate? Would there be a write in New York State? Should you vote for one of two evils? John, I'm going to tell you my opinion on this. If for some reason I can't get ballot access in New York State in 2024, it doesn't matter who you vote for. I would write in whoever you want. It's irrelevant. I'm being forward with you. It doesn't matter. If we can't get ballot access for a third party in 2020, if that actually happens, and I hope it doesn't happen, I hope we're able to make it happen. I believe we can. Write in whoever, write yourself in. Who cares? It doesn't matter. They don't have to count write-ins unless more than 2% are write-ins. They won't even count them. I'm not joking. If it doesn't make more than 2%, it doesn't affect the election. They won't even count them. They'll just ignore them. They did it last time. They just ignore them. They don't have to. BOE ignores them. We don't care. They call it, this is what they call it. They call it academic. That is their phrase, which means go to hell, citizen. That's what academic means. Go to hell, citizen. The BOE will just call it academic. They will ignore it unless it's more than 2%. And unless 2% of people write in. So I guess if you want to write it in, who cares? Write in what you want. It doesn't matter who you vote for. New York State is going for the Democrat next year. If you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you. It is going for the Democrat next year. So if we get ballot access, vote for us so we can keep our ballot access and have an actual third party in this state, right? Do that. If we don't get ballot access, it is irrelevant. Do whatever you want. Write in yourself, write in me, write in you, write in Ron Paul. Who cares? Write in whoever you want. It's irrelevant. They're not going to count it. It's just to make you feel good. Write in whoever will make you feel good. That's what I would say. Write in who'd make you feel good. And because your vote is, if we don't have ballot access next year and you're a New Yorker, your presidential vote is irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you put in. I don't mean it to be mean. It's just true, right? It does not matter at all. So I hope that was the answer to your question. I know it's kind of sounded crappy, but yes. Anyway. All right. Let's see here. Michael says, New York State is critical of U.S. crypto regulations. New York State is trying itself to destroy crypto, to keep it only within the big banks, and that's it. That's all they want. Keeping it within the big banks. That is their goal. That is it. Yes, absolutely. Let's see here. I wrote myself and I won. I like that. Very good, Gene. Kevron says, will you make cryptocurrency money when elected? I don't know what that means. Make it money. Will I allow people to travel to transact if they want to? Yes, of course. Yes. The bit license goes away, which is we have in New York State, which is stupid. There'll be no bit license in New York State. If I actually win this thing, no bit license is dumb. Of course, I go over that. Yes, absolutely. So I hope that yes, you should be able to use it if you want to, of course. So Dave says, but Larry, didn't the judge say, since you aren't going to win, we'll keep you off the ballot? Get the allowed Republican on the ballot? That was my argument. That was literally my argument, Dave. You are correct. That was literally my argument. 100%. Yes. So, wow, a couple of people are saying Twitter Spaces. Too, you saying it too? All right. Oh, X Space. All right, fine. Look, I'm not against it. Maybe all right, making me think maybe I should do it. Guys, before I go there, click the like button. I know I'm bugging you, but do it. Some of you haven't. So if you haven't, what's wrong with you? Click it now. Please click it. It does matter, right? If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet it. You can always, if you want to, super chat me. And again, follow the show and support me directly. Patreon.com/Sharpway. That's directly supports the show at $10 a month. If you want to head over and support Ballot Access for a third party, do so at LarrySharp.com/Ballot Access. You can see the link on both Facebook and YouTube. Click there. Give what you can. What I would like you to do, here's my request. $20 to $25 a month every month for the next year and a half. That will make sure we get everything done, pass through everything, get it all done. Enough people do that, we'll rock and roll. $25 a month for the next 18 months. Why? Because I'm giving you 18 months. So give me 18 months, damn it. That's what I'm asking you. I'm giving it to you. Please give it to me. It does matter. If you can, do so. If you don't have the cash, no worries. If you're not in that spot, I get it. Then instead, the other things I'm doing are free. Like, comment, share. Those are all free. Please do all of those or help me out. Cash does matter. Every little bit counts. I'm going to have to spend a whole bunch of time suing people and all that stuff. It does really matter 100%. So Careful. Oh, you don't know me much. You need to watch my stuff, brother. How much would you deregulate doing business in New York? Yeah, there are two sides I'll bring up if I could real fast. One of them is localization, and one of them is licensing. We'll cover both of those. Let me cover first licensing. Licensing should shift in credentialing. What does that mean? Right now in New York State, you require a license to braid hair. I'm not joking. That's required. People go, well, what about, people getting this and getting that? Utterly made up, total lies, utterly made up. Right now, you can go to Walmart and buy a clipper. Right now, there are moms and dads cutting their kids' hair every week, all the time, doing it constantly. Where were all the deaths and infections from barbers? Doesn't exist. A made-up thing, not the end of the world. Barbers have their own institutions that teach them how to barb, right, or cut hair without having a government agency. So you don't require a license for that. Instead, have a credentialing service instead. What does that mean? If you don't trust the barber because you think he's going to give you a disease or she's going to cut your hair wrong or something, no worries. That barber can go to the government and get a credential, get a stamp that says, I'm authorized by the government. They've said I'm good at barbering, I'm good at cutting hair, so only go to people who have that. No worries, I'm not against the government having credentialing services. I'm against them stopping you from cutting hair on your own. If you want to cut hair on your own, go ahead. Or worse, braid hair. That's even worse. You can't braid hair without, I'm not joking, a license. That license is going to cost you about $20,000 total, to schooling, all that stuff. Why the hell would you need a license for braiding hair? Now, I would ask an important question. What does some bureaucrat in Albany know about a black woman's hair? Not a damn thing. Well, she's a black woman herself. Nothing. So why is she deciding? She shouldn't. The community decides. Do you trust the woman to braid your hair? Then pay her. If you don't, wait for someone who has a credential and pay them. You decide how you want to decide. And that goes across almost all things. Not everything. There's exceptions, like obviously doctors, lawyers, that wouldn't count. I'm talking generalized business stuff, right? The state can have a credential. If you want to pay for it, please pay for it. If the community cares, the community will force you to get a credential. But why can't we also have privatized credentialing also? State and private credentialing. You can have more than one if you want to. 3 or 4 credentials showing how much better you are than the other guy or gal. Good for your marketing. Good for you. Do what you feel is appropriate. But don't stop people from making money. That is number one. Number two, if you are a localized business and you decide that you will sell only within New York State, this would also include farmers also, not just small businesses, including farmers. If you will sell only within New York State, you should be immune from all federal regulatory bodies. That's it. Why the feds involved? Why does that matter? Because big businesses that come in with franchises and such, they're all across state lines. They must all abide by all federal rules and regulations, which slows them down. But it's okay because they have massive lawyers that they lobby to make this stuff work for them anyway. The local guy now has a chance. You may go, but Larry, he might not be good. Then don't go buy from him. There's always the big guy's always there. You can always go to the big guy. They're not going away. They're all over this state. You can go to the big guy all day long. But now you can go to the small guy if you want to. The small guy will say, I'm not licensed by the federal government. I'm not following the federal government rules. If you like that, then go. You don't, then don't go. So I give you 2 things that I think will help you. I have tons of them. Just go to my LarrySharp.com page. I have all my policies there. You can check it out. I have tons of them to help out businesses. Lots of them to include localized banking, to include ways of companies go bankrupt, having the employees buy it to create more co-ops. There's such many things you can do all day long. There's lots of them you can do. So I hope that at least answers some of your questions. I appreciate that. Dave says you're licensed to be a psychic in Florida. How do they test for that? Well, you should just ask them what the next question is. What's the next question on a test? I don't know. Fail. Done. Right? That's how you do it. Okay, question 1 is your name. What's question 2? I don't know. Fail. If you guess the question right, you're psychic. You pass. 2-question test. See, easy day. You should use me to make that test, Dave. They should use me to make that test. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for this evening. I appreciate the time you gave me. I hope it was an interesting AMA. I hope it was fun and interesting for you guys. And I'm trying to do more of them. I know you like them. I will consider a Twitter space since you guys have brought it up. I will consider a Twitter space coming in the future. Otherwise, I will be back on Monday evening with my Sharp Club. And I will also be on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Sharp Way Radio. I hope to see you guys very soon. I will see you all very soon.